Welcome back to the Ultraviolet Tide. This episode is kicking off season 2 of the podcast, and we have a fantastic guest to help us launch into this new season. Gena, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
We are so excited for this conversation. And before we really dive in, I am going to give some background on you and Sunpatch so that the audience knows everything about your fantastic product. And then we're going to dive into your story. So Gena Griffin is the founder of Sunpatch. Sunpatch is a patented UPF 50 plus waterproof, reusable patch that locks in moisture and feels like a second skin. After 3 years of product development, she created a patch that not only offered maximum sun protection, but was also comfortable enough for her kids to want to wear it all day. She currently resides in Laguna Beach, California with her husband and 3 kids. Gena, can you tell us a little bit more about your background and Sunpatch's mission?
Absolutely. So my background is real estate, and I sold houses for about 22 years. I absolutely loved my job, but in my 40s, I started to I think I just really got complacent. It became easy. I am the broker and I do own the business, and I just wanted to do something different. And so I was trying to find something and, and maybe a little bit more flexibility. I was thinking a product. And so I really was in search of doing something different. And then when it came to the development of the sun patches, I don't know, I'm sure people have a lot of stories that are similar to this, but it was a absolute aha moment when I thought, gosh, I'm my seven, so my middle child, no matter what I would put on her face, especially on her nose and under eyes, she would always get fried. I mean, fried to a point where it was like we would be on vacation, and you're going to dinner that night, and you're embarrassed because you're thinking these, I mean, it was so bad, and the other two were fine, and it just like that aha moment. We were traveling, and I was watching them all swim, and my daughter that's 7, when she came up from the water, just like so aggressively, she would just wipe off her eyes and nose, just like crazy aggressively, like constantly. And I'm thinking, gosh, she is wiping everything off. That's exactly what's happening. She can't swim with a hat. She's wiping everything off. And I just had this moment of, gosh, wouldn't it be so cool if there was a sticker or a rash guard that you could stick on your face, or just like a sticker, and then that would kind of be the end of it. And just like that, when I thought of the idea, however one kind of says, as I started Googling it and researching it, and I didn't really, there wasn't really anything, which also makes you go think to yourself, well, this doesn't exist, so there must be a reason, right? And then just in my research, learning that a lot of people were wearing KT tape on their face. The only problem with some of the KT tape and the fabric tapes are, well, first of all, they're compression tape. So they're only made to stretch one way and then compress. So they don't really feel that comfortable. They don't really feel comfortable when you're wet. And they don't, and that's not going to work on my daughter because her skin's so sensitive, and I'm not going to pull KT tape off of her face. So then we looked at a bunch of different materials, because that's what I kind of thought. I said, okay, we'll find the material and then we'll cut it up and put it in like super cute Sephora packaging, and this is going to be so easy. And nope, well, that wasn't the case. Which actually, I think that's what actually really made it fun, because now it's like, oh wow, like I ended up sitting down, finding a designer, and we ended up sitting down, and we developed the material that and I just, it was so much fun. And so what's really interesting about the material and is blocking the sun was easy.
Mhm.
It was the most easy part of the patch, which I thought would be very difficult. The most difficult part of creating our material was the silicone gel. So the silicone gel, the sticky tacky part of our product, has
Right.
no chemical additives. It's completely, it is the silicone gel is the number one recommended product for healing skin by
Mhm.
doctors, and it's so to find a type of silicone gel that was tacky enough to last in the water and then peel off with ease after 8 hours. we
Right.
went through we went through 40 different types of silicone gel,
Wow.
and and I mean, everyone was like, there's not this doesn't, and then they're like, well, this doesn't exist. I'm like, okay, well, then maybe we should create something that existed, and we did end up finding it. But so really, that part of this thing adhering to your skin, being
Mhm.
waterproof, lasting all day, and pulling off with ease was the most challenging part. It took about a year to create and design.
Mhm. I believe it.
And then, we needed to figure out a way, it needed to be thin enough to feel like a second skin, and not too thick enough to be irritating, and then not too thin where it's going to ball up and be difficult. So
Right.
that was, I really got real obsessed with the material and making sure it was perfect. And
Mhm.
then everything was done and everything was perfect. And when you kind of talk about transitioning from real estate, I really leveraged my extensive network. I have a lot of clients that I've have sold houses to that have products that you would know. They were
Mhm.
like, "Are you sure about this?" Like,
Oh gosh.
you're like, "What? Wait, what?"
Oh my
um,
gosh.
and they were great. They answered. I love. I feel like everyone kind of has their own my saying. I really leveraged my network. And then
Mhm.
I feel like I asked when I ended up finding some people that really helped me. I mean, I had the friend that was developed silicone. I had the friend that was in the manufacturing. I had another friend that has, 400 products. And I always say that, like, I asked them so many questions. They eventually were like, we want equity.
Yeah, right.
And I was like, okay, we're good.
Oh,
So,
that's funny.
so, but and then I would also say, I know that when people are starting a new business, they always are, well, if you should start a business in something that you know. But I
Right.
am, and I was a little bit nervous about that, but I was willing to really learn this new industry, and I also feel like I am an expert in customer satisfaction, and this is and I'm more into what the customer wants than just trying to sell here.
Right.
So, and I will say I'm definitely more passionate about this beauty and skincare and sun scare than I ever really was about real estate, even though I was, successful at my old job. So that's been
Mhm.
really that's fun. I'm really enjoying it.
Yeah, I think that is it's so interesting. Real estate to a product-based business, definitely different mindset, different product, but some of the same skills are totally applicable. So funny enough, I started in real estate and then transitioned to a product-based business with LUV. So it's funny to hear. And I think there is something so tangible about the fact that your three kids were the inspiration for really starting the brand. So you found it very important to kind of model good sun habits for your kids. Did you, where did like your knowledge of sun safety and knowing the importance of it come? Is that something that you have learned or experienced, or where did that really come from?
So that has just happened since we launched about a year ago. I mean, I didn't know anything. I didn't really know anything. I think right when we were about to print all our packaging, I had on our packaging SPF 50, and someone's like, "That's like, you're not an SPF, you're a UPF." I'm like, "Huh?"
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
"What?" It's like, what's
Yeah.
so I am learning even, and this actually what's really been so much fun is that since it's taking off and people are really loving it, I feel like I'm really listening to the customer, and the customer is telling me stuff. The
Mhm.
customers, there was a few people that had said, you know, no sunscreen is waterproof. And I'm
Mhm.
thinking, it isn't. Like, well, yeah, I mean, it
Right.
kind of technically, so I'm learning about the sunscreen's not being waterproof. Our product is. So I feel like almost the customer voice is telling me all about these wonderful things about Sun Patch that I wasn't even really aware of,
Right.
which is so kind of fun.
Right.
Yeah.
No, I totally agree. There's something so fun about when you launch a product and you're kind of testing it. You're not quite sure if it's the right product. You're just trying to get something out on the market to fit a need. And then when you start having your customer base like tell you stuff and give you feedback and give you your opinions, it's like one of the craziest, coolest things ever because they see your product from such a different standpoint. I know I had like members of our community in the early days tell me something about the product. I'm like, oh, that's a great point. I never thought about that. Or just like things like that that maybe wouldn't even occur to you because you're so close to the product.
Right. Yeah. And we had a really great designer too, because I feel like I wanted to stray a little, and he'd be like, "Well, Gena, you said these things were really important."
Right.
Yeah. And then I was gonna, I'm sure the viewers are, this is a patch. The listeners are, this is a patch. I really like to explain it like a rash guard that sticks on your face.
Mhm.
And my biggest fear, I was like, gosh, people are going to wear this and get a line, because you have to be diligent about putting on your SPF with this. And this is how I explain it too is, listen, guys, you have your rash guard on. You're putting sunscreen on your exposed arm, right? If
Mhm.
you get a line at the end of the day, you're not like, oh, my shirt didn't work, my rash guard didn't work. I mean, that's just the most simplest way to describe it. But this is the story that I love, because I was so stressed out about the line.
Mm.
And I think it was like I got this notification one time, some, TikTok video, some girl, and I start watching it, and she's like pulling the patch off, and she's totally has a full on line. And I'm thinking, okay, here we go, right? And I was so surprised. She said, "Wow, these patches work, and my
Mhm.
sunblock doesn't." So
Yes.
that's what's been really fun too. Is I think that people, when you kind of overall get like a little pink on your face, but when you kind of can start to see if you do wear the patches and you do get a line, I think people are really going, "Wow, maybe my sunscreen's not as great as I thought it was."
Mhm.
So that's been real fun, and just I always like to share that, because I feel like that's like the biggest kind of, trying to explain people the patches and how to wear them and everything. And it's really just comes down to, the patches are an extra precaution, and they're
Mhm.
there to enhance the level of protection that you already have. And then of course in my daughter's case, as she's rubbing, it completely solved the problem.
So what was the first product that you guys launched? Was it the eye patches or the nose patch? What was the first product?
It was the pink under eye. That
Okay.
was that was the first one that we launched. And we made it so when we were doing, all of our samples were were the sun kissed neutral color. And
Mhm.
we would wear them snow skiing. And I know people would, they kind of be like, we kind of look at you and everything. And then I don't one day with the manufacturer, I'm like, can you just make this thing pink? They made a pink color that I did not like. It was like a orangey pink. And the second we started wearing the pink one snow skiing, people were like, wait a second, what is that? What I'm always so surprised is everyone immediately, it says, is it sunblock? Is that sunblock? Is that?
Hmm.
protect you from the sun and from windburn. It's people just people automatically call it a sun patch.
That's so funny. Yeah, I think the pink was such a good call because I know personally. So, when I was first introduced to your product, my first thought was this is perfect to put on when I'm healing my biopsies, but I'm like going to the beach or I'm going to the lake or wherever it might be. And I know I'm going to be in a swimsuit. I mean, just recently I had a biopsy and I was still wearing band aids because it was still healing and everything. But I was like, oh my gosh, once this heals, I'm going to have a scar there and it'd be so nice to put something cute on there versus a band aid. Have a cute patch to put on, and then maybe people ask about it and be like, yeah, it's sunscreen, it's a biopsy, no big deal. But just have something like that, that is cute, actually means a lot. It's so cool.
That's wonderful. And and I think another people who say, well, you can do this with anything. You can do this with duct tape. You can do this with tape. You can do this with a band-aid. Well, no, but those products all have chemical additives in their adhesive,
Yes.
which is
Mm-hmm.
it's going to damage your skin, and ours
Mm-hmm.
will adhere in the same conditions.
Yeah, you mentioned KT tape before. I mean, KT tape, band-aids, all of that stuff. I have the most sensitive skin from wearing the band-aid. I have a horrible rash now around
Yeah,
it because my skin does not just doesn't deal with it. I just get rashes from it.
wonderful. Yeah, that's why that was the one part of our design that I wasn't flexible on.
Mm-hmm. And I think that makes total sense. And another reason I really wanted to reach out to you is I know you all's mission is very similar to ours, that you believe in sun protection without the fuss of traditional SPF. And your product does specifically that. You don't have to chase a kid around with a bottle of sunscreen to reapply. It's something that you put on and you don't have to think about it. And was that, you know, part of your mission that you knew from the beginning was very important? It had to be a product that you didn't have to think about.
I never thought about that, but when after I developed it, what I realized was so the most important thing about sun patches, they have to be applied to clean, dry skin. But what I did not realize is my daughter, my 5-year old can put them on. So she's got her clean, dry skin. We put them, we usually put them on before we go out and it's hectic but if she puts, they both can put them on. If they look in a mirror, they can put them on because you can kind of stick them and so they can both put them on. And this is what I realized is then they can actually put on sunscreen because it's less space that you're just kind of doing like your chin and kind of under eye and your forehead. So because normally the kids, they can't put on sunscreen themselves because then they will get close to their eyes and they'll burn. So they're doing it themselves. I mean, and then especially with the facial sticks too. So with the sun patches on the facial sticks, they both do it themselves. And I feel like I've been a really good role model with the sunscreen. And this is just recent. I'm a former tan addict. So let's not I am yeah. I was telling my niece the other day, I'm like, we used to use baby oil, and she's like, well, why?
Right.
So I'm a former tan addict, and I will tell you that I just I'm really into it for myself, and then everyone's kind of following suit a little bit.
I think it's so important to model good sun habits for kids and like make it fun. Like you said, they can do it themselves. They get to take a little bit of ownership on it. And then you, as a parent, don't have to worry whether or not they actually did it because you can see it stuck on their skin. So you know that they have it.
Yeah, and I think it's so I'm it I we are getting a lot of feedback that, I mean, once these things are on, they really do feel like a second skin, and you just kind of forget about them a little bit.
Hmm. I love that so much. Snigdha, what are you thinking? You want some now too? I do.
Yeah, I'd love some. I remember, I think 2019, I was on vacation with my family. We went to Mexico, and this was before I started my journey with Erica with LUV. And, sun safety wasn't really, I wouldn't say it's not a priority, but it wasn't really top of mind all the time. Just put sunscreen on and then leave, kind of.
Yeah.
There was no kind of priority to reapply. There was no, I don't know, like bring an umbrella in case the beach gets really hot or the pool, whatever it is. And I remember that was the first time I like visibly saw a sunburn on myself, and it hurt so bad. But it was here on my nose, and then like a little patch right here above my eyebrows, and then my shoulders.
Yeah.
Um,
Absolutely.
now that I'm thinking back, if I had those in Mexico, that would have been saved. But yeah, definitely gonna get my hands on these.
Yeah,
Wonderful.
I think something that you talk about too in Snigdha that totally plays into what you just said, that prevention is always easier and cheaper and more effective than correction is. And I know, Gena, you said something very similar in an interview you did, that you're like, prevention is so much cheaper and so much easier. And whether it be, sunburn or sun damage or wrinkles or whatever you're trying to prevent, it's just so much easier to prevent.
Absolutely. Yeah. And hopefully it will catch on. I mean, my vision is you're at the grocery store and you see someone with little pink nose or white nose patch, and it's just like the trucker hat or a rash guard. It's, oh, it must be going to the beach. I would really like to significantly make an impact on UV facial related cancers. I know that 80% of UV related cancers are on the face, and 30% of that's on the nose. My dad's had basal cell removed from his face, I think about 8 times. He's kind of, been chopped at, and he wears the patches. And obviously I'm predisposition for that as well. So that's just been kind of a little added plus. Another, when you had kind of talked about the benefits of the patch and anti-aging, for me it was a little bit too, because I love, well, that's when I thought, well, God, this patch would be so great if I invented it for Ashlyn. But I also struggled with melasma on my forehead, and I have eczema. And there are actually a lot of targeted sunblocks out there, like sunblocks that you're wearing in addition to other sunscreens. And we all know the ones, like the colored zinca, remember the colored zinc sticks? You remember those?
Oh
There are
gosh,
these like,
I don't know
there
if
are
I
these
do.
there's these in the 80s, there were these like colored zinca sticks that these
Okay.
surfers wear. And there's clays that you can put on, these surfers were wearing. And they are the most amazing products. They are clean. They are a high concentration of zinc oxide. But the only problem with zinc oxide is, and it's clean, I love it, it dries your skin out.
Yeah.
It's so natural. It completely dries your skin out. So now I'm thinking, wow, not only do these patches block the sun, but they're almost like giving your skin a drink of water. And so
Mm.
for me, it helps me with like the dryness and the eczema, and keeping my not drying my skin out, which is, would be painful sometimes. So
I,
I don't really buy, I haven't bought like a crazy intensive moisturizer. Now, gosh, now that I think about it, in a while, because I've been wearing my patches.
I love that so much. And I think too, you're also solving a problem for people who, just to bring it back to zinc oxide, might not want to wear it because they don't want the white cast on their skin or the residue it leaves behind.
Absolutely.
When you were, just out of curiosity, when you were like starting out and maybe talking to people who didn't know a lot about sun safety or maybe weren't really in that industry, did you get like pushback or confusion about why this would be necessary?
Oh yeah. Yes. Yes, especially on Facebook. What is with Facebook? Facebook. Facebook. I have actually, I wish I would have saved some of the messages that we got from people. They were just like horrified by this, and raccoon eyes, and this doesn't make any sense. And that's why it took a little bit of time to explain, kind of explain things. I mean, still now, it's, we're getting a little bit of pushback, but just, people will make comments and stuff and don't understand it. And maybe those people just don't understand it too, because they might not touch and like wipe in that certain area, or maybe they're not super, but I would say more people are getting it and loving it, but we definitely have the negative Nellies.
Yeah, of course. I think that's a part of every business. I mean, we've certainly had our fair share of comments, and it's kind of interesting sometimes because from time to time you get a comment and you're like, they're probably not consumers of this product. Maybe they haven't seen something like this before because, our sun protective apparel is very lightweight. And we got a comment from someone saying, it's too lightweight, it can't be protecting. And I was like, no, this is the future of sun protection. It doesn't have to be heavy. That's what it's supposed to be doing.
That's funny. I wanted to do. So I would say the most challenging thing that we've had is really getting people to understand that you're not going to be happy with the performance of the patch unless you apply it on clean, dry skin. And we're getting there and we're trying to explain it. So I'm always like, hey, check out our 40 bad reviews of people that don't put on our product properly.
Right.
But we were out on a boat this weekend with my friend, and she actually had basal cell removed. I had my nose patch on. I was water skiing, wakeboarding with my patch, and her patch was flipping and flopping all over the place because she put it on after she put on her sunblock, and she packed it up and washed it, and you just have to kind of clean your nose. But so I feel like it also takes some time to get used to how it's worn and how it's worn.
I think that makes total sense too, because like you said, there weren't a lot of products on the market when you launched this product. So it makes total sense that there's a little bit of a learning curve for people to understand it.
Yeah, there's a learning curve, and I think it's going really well. I feel like there's a little bit less that, but when you when you talk about pushback, those were really just the line and maybe it not sticking properly. And we're just trying to, we try to come up with like cute little taglines.
Right.
Like,
right. I think one thing that you guys do incredibly well is the branding. I love your branding, your website, your Instagram, the packaging. I love it. It's so cute.
That's so great. That is all me. I'm going to say that's all me. I have zero experience in it. So, which I'm really happy about. Everyone has been complimenting that. And I've got a graphic designer that will kind of put my vision down and everything. But I'm really enjoying that. So I am happy that you like that.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think, your vision is very, very aesthetically pleasing and appealing.
Thank you.
Well, perfect. Where can people buy your products? If they're listening and they're interested and they're like, I want to go right now and buy it, where can they buy it online?
The best place to buy it is Amazon. We do have a website. It's sunpatch.com. But our Amazon's probably, Amazon, we're on Amazon, and I would, in the search engine, in the little search, sun patch, probably sun patch sunscreen, and most all of our products. So, all of our products are on Amazon, but I think probably in about a week or two, you'll be able to build a bundle in a really cool iridescent bag. You'll be able to build a bundle and save. So that'll be nice.
Cool.
And then, this is and I just wanted to kind of,
yes.
If you want to do this, I know that people are probably like, what, you kind of have to see a visual here.
Yes.
But here's the patches.
And
I have makeup on, but it's very, you can kind of just stick them where you want.
There you go. Love it. And now you're all protected.
and then they just come right off. I mean, this one's kind of nice. I think a lot of people too have been. Well, you had kind of said, I don't know, we've got like a neutral one and stuff, but you can kind of stick them anywhere. And then, of course, it's an accessory to sunscreen.
Yes.
And you've got, in addition to your SPF, and then they're also reusable. So
lovely. Okay.
So you can wash them and get 10 wears out of them. So, I mean, there's a lot of product.
Awesome.
The under eye comes with 4 reusable pairs, and you can wear them 10 times each. So there's 40 wears in here. And then the nose, again, you can wear them 40 different times. You can even double, because everyone's like, oh, well, it doesn't fit my nose or this or that. You can double, you can like overlap them and
choose your own adventure. Do whatever works for you.
Stars too, which are real cute for just a little, just having fun, little moles and certain things. Actually, sometimes I'll put like 2 stars up here just to kind of, so the melasma.
Mm-hmm.
So wonderful. I think this was great.
Yeah. And if people, so now they know where to shop, and we'll link all of that in the show notes. But if people are also listening, they're like, well, I want to connect with you too. Where can they find you on Instagram and Sunpatch on Instagram?
Absolutely. It's sun.patch on Instagram. And then my personal Instagram is Gena, Gena, like Jenna, LikeJenna. And when you go to the Sun Patch, my personal's on there as well. So, and I just want to share, my personal is to just share about being an entrepreneur and starting a business and all of the challenges that go with it, but it's been a lot of fun too. So
we'll link that in the show notes too, so people can follow along with the journey as you grow. But Gena, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you both. Thank you. I really appreciate it.
And make sure, if you're listening, to go and connect with Sunpatch now.
Wonderful.